Welcome to another episode of Reverberations. This is your host, John Stewart. As many of you know, it's been a little over a year since we've had regular releases of the Reverberations podcast. So I'm going to share a little bit about where I've been, what I've been up to, where we're at, where we're going, and set the course for what I'm of service to and what my ask is. So last year this time, I had just gotten back from doing college visits with my son out to Arizona State, and he was dead set on going out there. Little did I know that he wouldn't be choosing Arizona or Arizona State, and he would be making his move to another Big Ten school. I would be the one that would be going to school at Arizona State. I didn't see it coming. Though the one thing that I really knew more than anything else is that I'm not going to say yes to anything, a person, place, or thing, unless my heart, my soul, is completely present with what's in front of me. I'm not just going to do something to do it. It really began this deeper soul's journey of remembering who I am, the essence of me, my own uniqueness. And I wrote a book, for those of you that don't know, it's called It All Begins With You. And really what it is a love story. It's an opportunity for me to reflect back to a period of my life when I had to tune in with all of the life lessons that made me who I was so I wouldn't forget that. And when I started this podcast, the first episode was called Journey of Remembering. Very intentional with the episode title. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to lay everything on the line about who I am, where I've been, what I'm of service to. And I want to share even more clearly, stream of consciousness, nothing written down. So it's coming directly from my heart. There's nothing more in this lifetime that I want than for all of humanity to experience a deeper sense of belonging. That's what I stand for. To be able to see one another in our truth, in all of our vulnerabilities, in however we show up, whoever we're sleeping with, whatever job we take, however much money we have in our pocket or don't, wherever it is that we live, whatever we pray to or don't, whatever we identify with or don't. What I care most about is that each and every single human being on this planet feels a sense of belonging that is seen for who they are, their essence, their individuality, their uniqueness, what makes them alive, what makes you alive. I want people to have a deeper sense of trust in each other, in themselves. And the reality is that we're living in a time right now where there is grave injustice, where there is so much separation, where there is hatred being perpetuated, that is being encouraged. Human dignity is worth fighting for. This is what the Reverberations podcast is about. When I talk about the journey of self-discovery is connecting with the soul of the self. And not just the self, this meanness, this physical body, the self. Of all of the things that I am comprised, with all of the people that I've met, all of the experiences that I have been fortunate to experience, all of the places that I have been, all of the things that have shown up in my world. The journey of self-discovery is the self with a capital S. The more that we give ourselves the opportunity to explore ourself, what our likes are, what our dislikes are, what we stand for. It's where we begin to align, to magnetize, to feel into what we are creating and how we're showing up, and tune into our intentions and what the impact those intentions have. Not just for the self, for everything else. Because when we take care of the self with a capital S, everything else takes care of itself. So a year ago, I was going through a transition of looking at what was next, what's possible, and my lifelong vision of being of service to humanity in a bigger capacity began to take shape more than it ever has. I've always been a visionary. I've always been a big thinker. I've always had lofty ideas. I've always been the one that's been too much. And as I started to feel into it, that too muchness, oh, you're crazy. That'll never happen. But that dream, that vision, that knowing never left. So in the period of this pause, the silence began to speak so loudly. And through so many synchronistic experiences that I can't even begin to tell you, it'd be a year-long podcast. So I've been studying at Arizona State. I'm currently in an accelerated master's program for global technology and development, with my bachelor's being in innovation and society. And for me, what that is all about is how can we create, co-create, you and I and everybody else. Because we all look to the same sun. We all drink from the same water supply. We all walk upon the same earth. We all breathe the same air. We are all in this together. And if we don't figure out a way to create a more just, fair, equitable, inclusive, sustainable, and harmonious human experience for everything on the planet, not just us, all living things and unliving things, in the seen and the unseen, when we expand our vision beyond the self with a small s to the self with a capital S, our whole worldview changes. And that's the thing, shifting our worldview, because no longer is our village just 15 people that's in front of us. With the advent of the internet, and now we have AI, it is shifting from that small self to a much more expansive self. And I speak with this level of passion because I can't contain it anymore. I can't hold back. Witnessing what is happening, what is going on in this world, this isn't the world that I grew up thinking I would ever experience. Though you know what? This is happening for a reason. Because if this doesn't shake us, if this doesn't rattle your soul with what's going on right now in this world, the degree of separation, the hatred, the animosity, the judgment, the downright disrespect and negligence, then I don't even know what to say. As they say, we haven't come this far to only get this far. And I can no longer sit on the sidelines. And I don't know what's next. I really don't. What I need more than anything else is this sense of belonging with my fellow humans. What I need most is to be able to look at someone in the eye and feel them, to feel their heart through their eyes. What I need is to know that I could go to China, that I could go to Russia, that I could go to Ukraine, that I could go to Israel, to Gaza, to Somalia, to Venezuela, to Ecuador, to Canada, to Greenland, and look at someone and feel their presence, to recognize another human, to see myself in someone else. This is the evolution of consciousness. This is the evolution of human. We have created the most incredible structures, the most mind-blowing inventions. Shit, I'm still trying to figure out how Wi-Fi works. Yet we have not solved the most basic of all questions. And that's the thing. We've looked everywhere outside of us for the answer. Yet the answer is right in front of us. The answer is right here in the sanctuary of our own heart. When I began studying at Arizona State, it was about social innovation. Is how can we co-create a more sustainable and harmonious human experience for all, for basic, fundamental human rights and dignity. We have it within us. Just because we don't see it on TV, just because our leaders are playing with our chips, just because it's done that way doesn't mean that it has to. And part of me has been saying, why me? The imposter syndrome. What could you possibly have to offer? Who are you to be able to be a part of this transition team? What is it that you have? What I do have is me. And that's enough. That's what's enough. My heart, my passion, my purpose, my presence, my love for humanity. Now that's big. I know that. But I'm never going to stop being of service to it. And I'm sure that brings up a whole lot of questions. I don't know. But what I do know is that together we can figure it out. That's what better together means. The invitation is to participate in whatever capacity. And if that's just taking care of yourself and respecting the self with a capital S, that's enough. That's enough. The bigger ask is that if we see something that isn't in alignment, to use our voice, even if it shakes, even if we're stuttering, even if people are yelling in our face, is to use our voice. The power is with each and every single one of us. And the more that we share about what it is that we need to thrive, to survive, to feel a sense of belonging, to feel a deeper sense of trust, to feel that we are seen in this world. And when I say seen, that doesn't mean all the attention is on you. When I say seen, it's that people respect you for who you are, for your own uniqueness and whatever that looks like. What I do care about is your values. What I do care about is your ethics. What I do care about is how you treat one another. And those that you connect with that support you and your soul's mission, and whatever that is, and that could be just being the best father possible. That's it. And if that's your mission, own it and be so okay with it, because we can create the world that we know to be true. There is no doubt about it. None whatsoever. And we have been so accustomed to that being tough or a lot of responsibility, too much to hold, bearing the weight of the world. And I assure you, the more that we show up, the more that we find our people, the more that we see that others are also sharing in that same burden, that burden becomes lighter because we carry it together. We're all just walking each other home, as the beloved Ram Dass says. So what I stand for is radical self-awareness, integrity, ethical leadership, conscious systems design for a more sustainable and harmonious future, utilizing education as a liberatory force, teaching the basic fundamentals of human dignity and what it is to have values, and not just one day at the beginning of school, an ongoing reminder of what it is to live in a collaborative economy that is equitable, that is just, that is responsible, that is heart-centered, that is present. That's my ask, is let's figure it out together. If you have ideas, send them over to me. Drop it in the comments. Begin to have these conversations, because we can do it. It's not too big for us. We can make it happen. One person can shift nations. One person can shift a world. And let me just get this out here. When we begin to shift to living from our heart, to being more consciously aware, to tuning in with our soul's yes, to being open to our most intimate and expansive vision of what we know to be true for ourselves. And we begin to be more welcoming and accepting of others. People are going to say things. They're going to doubt. They're going to throw your past in your face. They're going to judge every move. And the reality is that none of us are perfect. What really matters is how we connect with others and how our actions impact others, how we show up in our relationships. Because at the baseline of it all, it's all about how we relate with one another. Seeing beyond all of the identities, seeing beyond all of the labels. We aren't that. Really, what we all are, and all everything is repurposed, recycled, reused, recombobulated energy into different form. We're all made of the same thing. And we're all going back to the same thing. So I'm going to share a little bit about the things that I've been working on, and then share a little bit about where the future of this podcast is going to go. So over the past year, I've been looking at, do I keep Reverberations going, or do I rebrand it? Because what I want to focus on is people. Looking back over the episodes, be like, wow, it's quite a medley of different topics. There's really no cohesiveness. Maybe I should narrow the focus so that's just on values-based leadership, ethical governance. And I was like, well, the reality is, if I'm talking about inclusiveness, if I'm talking about justice, if I'm talking about equitable access, if I'm talking about passion, if I'm talking about purpose, if I'm talking about healthy relationships, if I'm talking about love, these are all deeply human. And that's the journey of self-discovery and doing it better together. And Reverberations is that. And for one of my final projects, one of the options was to do a podcast for greater sustainability and to tie it to the Sustainable Development Goals. So it was a perfect synchronistic experience to reintroduce the podcast. And for me, the two areas that can provide the greatest impact are if we provide a more quality education and have more just, equitable, and ethical governance systems. So the last podcast where I was focusing on youth civic engagement and the future of anticipatory and participatory governance, that was the impetus to bring this podcast back and recognize that all topics are deeply human. And that's what the Reverberations podcast is about. The journey of self-discovery and the human experience, and sharing in it together because we are better together. And where I feel it matters most is in our schools, with our children, with the youth. So one of my other projects was one called Reverb. And the focus of that was on a monthly engagement with teens of where they get to use their voice creatively, and whatever that looks like, whether it's spoken word, whether it's a talk, whether it's a song, a poem, no matter what their creative expression is, to be able to voice what is inside, no matter what, no questions asked. So they have a place to speak, to be heard, to be valued, to be seen, to be honored for what it is that they see in this world, what their vision is. And then I also did a project called The Future of Belonging. And this looked at the question, how might local parent-teacher organizations and associations shape the future of belonging and revitalize the social fabric in U.S. school communities by 2055? How can we create greater community cohesiveness to where parents, students, teachers, administration, governance systems are all working in harmony so that all of our children feel a sense of belonging, so that all of our children have access to the tools and resources to be able to thrive. I also created a global impact vision, a platform for reimagining global governance and collective well-being, a leadership plan for organizational change rooted in 5 practices of exemplary leadership. The vision statement is to lead and sustain transformational change towards global ethical governance, harmonious coexistence, and value-based civic empowerment. So what's next for the podcast? We can expect regular episodes, deep dive conversations. This is going to be a group project. And my ask is please subscribe and share this podcast. And I ask that you take a moment to reflect on what it is that you can do right where you are. It doesn't need to be so big. What can you do right where you are? And if you have any recommendations for future shows, or if you have any resources that you feel might benefit the community, if you have any suggestions for future guests, if you have a story that you want to share, please make sure that you comment below. And if you aren't following me on social media, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. You can connect with me on SoundCloud for all my musical offerings, and you can also connect with me on YouTube. And I really look forward to growing this together, because this is a we thing. And this is where our voice isn't only heard, it's valued, it's honored, it's welcomed, it's encouraged, it's received. The only expectation is to don't be and we honor the universal code. We don't intentionally create harm, mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally, unto another. So thank you for tuning into this podcast. This was just to put it all out there about what's been going on in the pause, where we're at right now, and what we're looking forward to. And I'm so excited to share in this journey with you. And remember, we are better together.
What do we do? What road do I take? Where we going? Where we headed?
Everywhere.
Yeah. Some say the road less traveled is the path I should have taken. Wonder some ever traveled in the shoes of the forsaken. Place my hands in prayer form, I bow my head and remember 1974, 27th of November. Where do I go? What do I do? Who am I? Who are you? Where'd you go? What'd I do? I'm sorry, I love you. Long story short, save the drama for the stage. Flip the script, free the mind, let's dance and stargaze. Visions of the future remain present in my psyche. Lived all my life dreaming about what I might be. Creatively I approach, swinging for the fence is still present in the moment. Now I'm diving to the portal that's been open, matching actions to the words that were spoken, cause they soaked and embodied. Spiritually sound in my mind and my body. My life is my hobby, and I'm the disc jockey. Yeah. Walking through the pathways. Yeah. My heart beats. rite of passage to suffer for anointment. It's got me in the fields, cross-eyed and double jointed. Read my words, place my hand on my heart, and I remember 2021, 31st of December. Present in the moment, here I am in the flesh, on the quest that I'm blessed with every breath to be a guest. Infinite and eternal, expanded to the space. Drop the mic, sit in silence. Spirits are not a resonant collective soul. Let go of what I might be so I could be whole and receive the blessings that were mentioned in the lesson passed down from the heavens by the one they behold. As a speaker of the truth in stories foretold, a line of patterns in the message, cracking codes and coalescing better together as we step into our power and ascension. UBS 365, love amplified 1111.